It's our participation trophy. We do, in fact, make buckles.
We make buckles right here in this building.
We've got some cool footage of this new process we have for making the buckles.
The good news was we got the Cordura straps, and that problem is solved, and that's going really well, and they are even better than we thought. The bad news is... Welcome back to Custer and Wolfe, Building a Watch Company. I'm RT.
And I'm Tyler.
And today we are talking about all the stuff that we've accomplished in the month of February 2024, mostly about Colorado Watch Company, the watch company that we are building together. But then a little bit at the end, we're going to talk about Vortic, where our focus is for Vortic, and some really exciting things we're working on, as well as new hats like what Tyler's wearing. So stick around to the end for that. Let's dive in with a question like we always do. The question that we're getting a lot about Colorado Watch Company right now is, if I'm a backer, if you backed us on Kickstarter and you filled out the survey, which I want to say 95% of people have. Again, if you haven't seen that survey, if you backed us on Kickstarter, just email us, info@coloradowatchcompany.com. We'll sort that out. But the question is, if you have backed us on Kickstarter, you received the survey, you filled it out. A lot of people are saying, hey, I filled that out a couple months ago. I don't really remember if I got the green strap or the khaki strap or the black case. Long story short, over the next month or so, we are going to personally reach out to you from that email address, info@coloradowatchcompany.com. And we're going to send you a receipt and basically a Shopify order confirmation to confirm exactly what you're going to receive from your Kickstarter order. So nothing you need to do right now. Just give us some time to reach out to each and every single one of you individually, and we'll confirm your order. And if you want to make any changes at that time, we'll just go back and forth in email and figure that out for you. So again, nothing you need to do at this time. If you want to check in, we're always here via email, info@coloradowatchcompany.com. But give us some time. We'll reach out to you and we'll square that away. Make sure you know what you're about to get. Let's dive in and talk about straps. I mentioned the colors of straps, and we just got a huge box from Hadley Roma, which was a super exciting day in the shop. Way ahead of schedule. We received hundreds of the Cordura straps, and they are awesome. So were you as surprised as I was with like the richness of the color of these?
Yeah, they seem a little bit darker than the samples. I really like the color of both of them, and I love the Cordura material.
Yeah.
As opposed to canvas, it's a lot more durable, stronger, better, and I think it's good looking as well.
You can feel the difference even between these and the samples. It's so cool. And yeah, the green is a little bit more green than the samples were. The khaki is a little bit darker. I would say a little more brown and less sand color of khaki. I think it's another one of those happy accidents, because if you put this one, when you put the khaki strap on the GCT with that radium colored dial, it's perfect. I mean, this is what I want now. I just changed my selection. So I think the khaki color and the richness of that color turned out perfectly. And the green is like a true military green. Like, this is almost like a forest green. I think it couldn't be better.
Yeah, I think the patch came out really nice. I wasn't quite sure what that was going to look like, but really happy with how that looked.
I think it was a great idea. Yeah.
We added extra holes to the point side of the strap with the intention of it being able to fit a wider range of wrists.
Yep.
We got the quick change spring bars on the back of all of them already installed, which is really nice.
And we're making the buckles. So I think these are perfect. And now we can get more whenever we want, which is super exciting. You know, always nervous when we're relying on a new supplier, a new thing.
Yeah, and just so nobody's confused, the strap is not U.S. made. The Cordura itself is not U.S. made. The buckle is, because we make it. We're
making the buckle right here in this building. The straps are not made in the U.S. We looked very hard to find a U.S. made Cordura, and we struck out. So we went to Hadley Roma, a trusted supplier of ours, and I mean, they've been awesome. It seems like they really came through on this.
They do all of our leather straps for the Artisan series, so we had a good relationship with them already.
And those are American made, so we can always get American made leather, but apparently American made canvas or Cordura is very difficult.
Yeah, what they told me is they sent all of the textiles overseas, so they only do the leather in the U.S.
I mean, if you follow like Origin and some of those companies, it sounds like textiles in general are predominantly overseas. So
it's really tough to do in the U.S.
Yeah. Be cool if Origin made some straps. That'd be dope.
I asked them. I literally emailed them.
Well, maybe that's
they
the thing
said no,
someday.
but
they also it's so hard. Speaking of that, so we also have a black Cordura, which obviously there's a million different like shades of black that we can get. I think this is again just perfect, and the all black look is awesome. So a lot of people on their surveys chose kind of this like black case, black strap style. And I think that turned out just exactly what I saw in my head. But speaking of that, the good news was we got the Cordura straps, and that problem is solved, and that's going really well, and they are even better than we thought. The bad news is that we basically have totally struck out on this rubber, made in USA rubber strap that we wanted to include with every watch. So Tyler, you want to talk about kind of the back and forth that happened there? And
yeah, I don't want to call it bad news, but it is a change in plan.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's a functional change. It's not something we have a whole lot of control over. Essentially, we decided to add a rubber strap option to the Kickstarter before having the rubber strap made, because we had been talking to this company the first time we talked to them was years ago.
Yeah.
And before we launched the Kickstarter, we talked to them again, and it seemed like everything was going to be able to move forward and work. And this is an American molding company. But last minute, a week or two ago, they told me they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
And this was a company that they used to make straps for Shinola, and so I thought it was a slam dunk. I had kind of said like, okay, I put it out of my mind, and then you came and told me that. So it felt like bad news to me, but I agree. It just is what it is.
It's like anything else in the watch industry. What we come to find, being in the U.S., if you don't do stuff for watches, like an average molding company is going to have a lot of trouble doing watch straps, for example.
Yeah.
An average company is going to have trouble doing watch crystals. An average sapphire company is going to have trouble doing crystals, and so on. So yes, we could go to another American molding company, and that is our plan to do that. But to do it right, it's going to take some time, and that would certainly delay the Kickstarter watches. So we kind of need a new solution to that. We were thinking about having a mold made overseas in Italy. Yeah, a mold is really expensive.
Yeah.
10,000 plus. And we don't want to invest that money overseas.
Yeah.
I would
agree.
rather make an adjustment to our plan, still make American-made rubber straps, but not jeopardize our ability to deliver the watches on time.
And so we had this conversation, we talked it through, and just to be totally clear, for all of our Kickstarter backers and people that order the first batches of these new Colorado Watch Company watches, you will receive a black Cordura strap with every watch that you purchase. Some of you bought the field watch, some of you bought the GCT watch, some of you got one of each. With every watch, you're going to get a black Cordura strap that looks exactly like this. Because we hit our stretch goal on Kickstarter, you will also get your choice of an extra strap, which again, these are quick release, really easy to change in and out. And you get to choose an extra khaki or green. And so every strap, every watch will come with two straps, the black and your choice of one of these two. And at this point, you don't have to do anything. If you backed us on Kickstarter, I will reach out to you via email. If you chose black, especially as your extra strap, I will reach out and just make sure that you still want two black straps, or if you want one black strap that comes with your watch and a different color. So nothing you need to do. We're going to confirm every single person's order and what you confirmed on your survey, and we'll make sure that you get exactly what you want. Many of you added a third strap so that you can literally have one of each color. And that's probably a great thing we can do going forward, is like on our, the future website we're going to build, all the watches come with black, and you get your choice of one of these other 2 colors, and you can add a little money to have one of every 3, one of every of the 3 colors. So that is what's happening for our Kickstarter backers. Obviously, that'll be way easier to explain once we have a Colorado Watch Company website and all of these products are for sale sometime in the future. Again, to answer that question, that will not happen. You won't be able to buy a Colorado watch until we've delivered at least most of these Kickstarter backer watches. So that's the plan for straps and what we're going to do with rubber. And like Tyler said, we're still going to try to find a company in the US that will be able to mold rubber straps for us here in the USA. And when we do, obviously we'll let you know and we'll involve you in that process. And hopefully we'll be able to solve that problem. We just didn't want it to delay these watches, and we wanted to make sure you get these watches as soon as possible.
Yeah, they just told us that the reason for it is even when they were doing straps for other people, they had trouble. They didn't have like 100% success rate. They just had a lot of issues with it and said they were so busy right now they couldn't deal with kind of a difficult project, which we didn't realize it was.
Yeah, we didn't realize it was. And, we're not asking them to make a couple. Like, when you heard me earlier say we can't find Cordura straps made in the US, there are plenty of strap makers that make canvas and other things in the US, but they make 1 or 2 or maybe 10 at a time. We need hundreds and hopefully soon to be thousands of these straps. We were just talking about a podcast that we were both listening to, interviewing Elon Musk about how hard it is to go from making 1 Tesla to making 10,000 Teslas. And he said it was harder to get to 10,000 than it was to make the first one. And we
Way
are
harder.
feeling that right now. And these are things that we haven't done before. And so when suppliers say that, it just kind of, it's part of the manufacturing process. So that's how we learn.
Yep. That's why we listed the project on Kickstarter.
Yep.
We know that our backers understand that sometimes things change with a Kickstarter project, and hopefully some of the other stuff that we've added, like the rotor and the extra strap and that stuff, kind of offsets any disappointment over not getting a rubber strap.
Yep. And on that note, they are quick release, and this is a standard 20 millimeter connection. So if you have another strap that you want to put in on this watch, regardless of where it's made, we tried to make that as easy as possible for you to do. And it should be a fun process to customize your watch in the future with literally thousands of different straps you can find anywhere on the internet. So that's everything about straps. We talked about the new Cordura straps we got. We talked about the rubber straps not being an option, at least for the moment. And then on the straps, I mentioned that they're all going to come with a made in USA, made in Colorado buckle. Tyler, do you want to talk about, I guess, just the process of
Making the buckle.
turning that into that?
Yeah, so we've got some cool footage of this new process we have for making the buckles. But if you've been following along, you've probably heard me talk in the past about how frustrating buckles have been. Mm-hmm. It seems like such a simple, easy little part, and it's tiny, and it shouldn't be hard, but it is. To machine it from billet is not super easy, and to machine thousands from billet gets even harder. So this is actually the 4th different way that I've made buckles now.
Not that we're counting.
We started doing them one at a time on the mini mill, and that person has to go in and change the material each time, and then we would have to hand finish the buckles. So that wasn't very efficient, and each buckle took almost an hour just on the machine. Then I made a 2-op fixture for the VM. And that way you didn't need to do any hand finishing. It was a finished part off the machine, but still really slow and still manual. A manual process. The next thing we did is build a tombstone for the mini mill so we could make 20 buckles at a time. So even though they still took a long time and they were really efficient, so we took a big strip and milled 10 of these things in a strip.
Yeah, we have one of those that I show on tours. That's kind of cool. So that's.
But in order to do that, we had to machine them with the lugs straight up. So we invented a bender where we could machine the lug straight and then bend it afterwards. As you can imagine, we kind of got tired of doing that.
Yep.
So now that brings us to what we're doing today. This is something I've wanted to do for 2 years now, ever since we got that Haas ST20. So this is, I mean, certainly a mill part. It's not a lathe part, but we're making it on the lathe now. And the purpose is to fully automate the buckles.
Yep.
They're still not fast. They're faster, but they're still not fast. But what we do now is we feed, it's an 1.125" bar into the main spindle. And then the lathe has live tooling on it, meaning that it has milling tools and it doesn't have to spin the material.
Yep.
So we mill away everything that doesn't belong on the op1. This is an op1 part. And then the sub spindle, our lathe has 2 spindles. It has a main spindle that the stock is loaded into.
Yep.
And then it has a sub spindle, which also spins just like a normal lathe spindle. And we machined a special collet. So the sub spindle actually comes in, grabs this, spins it, cuts it off, and then finishes the face of it, and then spits off a finished part, and then proceeds to push more bar into the machine, do another op1, another op2, eject another part. So essentially it's fully automated, and we're getting finished quality buckles that don't need any hand finishing afterwards.
There's a whole bucket of buckles in there. It's kind of cool to see.
It's funny how fast it goes. The real thing that takes the machine shop from inefficiency to efficiency is just running at night and weekends.
Yeah.
Unattended, lights out, they call it, lights out machining. Even if your part has a longer cycle time, if you're running all night, it's okay.
Right. Yeah.
But if all you have is 40 hours a week to run, all of a sudden it seems like you don't have very much capacity.
Yep.
So that's a huge intention behind this. One of the reasons we bought that bar loader is not only can it keep pushing the bar into the machine, but it can actually load a new bar. So the goal with these buckles is actually to be able to run for multiple days without any human intervention and just be spitting off buckles.
Yep.
Because we need a lot of them.
So that's for the buckle itself. How are you making the tang?
Same way.
Same thing? Okay.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yep. Both on the ST now, and both that same process. Doing most of the work on the main spindle and then transferring it and just facing it off.
Yeah. That'll be cool to show the difference between that when we get there. But yeah, it's really cool to just see a little bucket or container of buckles that are totally finished. So
yeah, even if every customer only had 2 straps, that's still 600 plus buckles.
Yeah.
And we have more than that. So
and a lot of people are ordering extra straps and yeah.
So that means 600 buckle rims and 600 buckle tangs.
Yep.
So like I said, buckles kind of turn into a thing, even though it doesn't seem like they should be, but I think we finally nailed it. And I will mention that Sky, I helped Sky with the programming, but Sky got it all set up and figured out. So good job, Sky.
He was really excited about he called this a buckle trophy.
Yep. It's our participation trophy. We do in fact make buckles.
We make buckles right here in this building. And it's super cool. And like we talked about before, you figured out how to make 1, then you figured out how to make 20. And now it's like, okay, we need 1,000 buckles in the next, few weeks, really, but a couple months. And that is a massive, massive difference between making a dozen and making 1,000. So,
yep. But it is good to just have a really solid process that works. Each of those last 3 processes worked. If you can hear my it worked, but every time you went to do it, it was frustrating because something would go wrong. The parts would come off bad. We'd ruin a whole piece of material because the 4th axis on the mini mill just wasn't strong enough to hold that tombstone.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to have a solid process, something we know we can repeat and can kind of set it and forget it.
Yep.
That's the whole point.
Well, speaking of that kind of process, you've also been setting up all of the infrastructure we need to make dials.
Yep.
So I know you found all the parts and pieces and machines and equipment we need to do the coding process for the white dials. But what else have you been working on the last couple weeks dial wise? Yeah,
I mean that's a big deal. We've been talking for a while about how difficult it is just to get the dial white.
Yeah.
And currently, the prototypes have been done by a company, I think they're in Utah, and they did really nice work, but they're not a job shop. They were kind of doing it out of the goodness of their heart. There's a guy there that's been really kind to help me out and give me some advice.
Like you said, like if you are not a company that makes things for the watch industry regularly, then you're basically doing us a favor making this
Right.
stuff.
They do auto parts. They do huge batches. It's just, it doesn't make sense for them to supply us with coated dials. And I totally understand that, but we still need coated dials.
Right. Yep.
So essentially I kind of talked to him and he's agreed to help us out until we can do it ourselves. But I recently this week found a e-coding machine online, just a desktop, simple. We'll be doing one dial at a time. Normally e-coding, it's the most popular in the automotive industry, and it gets really cost effective because they have massive vats of paint and hundreds of parts that they dip all at once.
Yeah.
So for large production and volume, e-coding is really, really efficient and inexpensive. But we are going to start small. Our setup will just be one dial at a time, but we'll have full control over it. And as we get better at that, we can kind of build our own setup to scale.
Yep.
We'll eventually have, 50 dials at a time that we can dip and do all of that. But to start, we're going to do one at a time, put one foot in front of the other before we run.
Yep. And for the fellow nerds in the audience, electrophoretic coding. That's what E-code is.
Yeah, good job.
Yes. Another participation trophy for me. That's super exciting. And then you also set up and have the new, I've been calling it a paint booth, but like the dial room at this point is ready to go.
We fully set up a dial room, so that's cool. We got some ventilation and new table, simple stuff, but
and our new pad printing machine is in there. So we plan in the next episode of this, so roughly a month from now, most of that episode will be about the dials, and hopefully we can show you some of these processes and what we're doing for all the dials. Obviously, we have to, making the dial isn't just painting it white and putting the numerals on. Like, we start with a piece of metal, cut the dial, make the designs in the dial, and then do all of this process that Tyler just talked about. So
right. There's a lot that goes into dials, and they're the most frustrating part because they need to be perfect. They just have to be.
Every other person that runs a watch company that we talk to about making dials just asked us why.
Yeah.
Like, are you sure you want to make dials? So
I'm not sure.
Still not sure.
I'm happy we're doing it ourselves, and I'm happy, and I think it's going to turn out really well. But yes, it was a huge decision for us to make them ourselves.
Well, the prototypes to me seem very worth it. And if there's one thing we've learned from running Vortic for the better part of a decade, is that the dial is what sells a watch. Our customers invest in some of these for Vortic, one of a kind dials with stories. And I think if we do it right, we can create some really cool stories with Colorado Watch Company dials. So
yeah, and bringing the e-coding in-house really makes it easier to do limited edition dials in different colors, and opens us up to some more experimentation and testing here.
And besides the DLC coat on the GCT dial, we'd be making all of the dials ourselves right here in this building.
Exactly.
Which is pretty awesome. So,
and we're not going to buy a DLC machine anytime soon.
Yeah, I know what DLC stands for, but I don't know how that process works, and it seems like it's a lot more intense than an E-code process.
Yep, I think it's magic, and we should let it stay magic.
The magical process of DLC coding parts. Awesome. Well, we have one Vortic watch on the table. So obviously, up until this point, this episode has been entirely about Colorado Watch Company, what we're up to, almost a Kickstarter update, as you will, and that we're going to keep doing this once a month so everyone can stay posted. But we have one Vortic watch on the table. So over the last year, you and the team have been just really perfecting the art of manufacturing these Vortic pocket watch conversion cases. And this is the latest version of our Railroad edition. This watch is currently for sale on the website. The Boston Railroad 008 is what this one's called. But if you're looking at it here, you can see it's the one with the Buick logo on it. So this is one that we made for that Barrett Jackson show. Talk to me about just like how hard this was to create. And I know most of the Railroad watches, the cases that you've made recently have been for our what we call heritage internally, but our Convert Your Watch customers, where they brought, Grandpa's Railroad pocket watch. So what changes did you make for this? And are you calling this a finished, like a final version Railroad case at this point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the big difficulty with Railroad watches is the lever.
Yeah.
To set a Railroad watch, you actually have to take the bezel off, pull a lever out, and then you can set the watch. And that lever's not always in the same spot even. So we had to have 3 different orientations of cases in 3 different materials and bezels for all of those as well. So with everything that we do with Vortic, things that seem simple end up becoming really complicated just because we have to kind of span all of the different watches that we might see. On this watch, as opposed to the previous version, the water resistance is much better. Mm-hmm. I don't think we rate these for water resistance because the bezel is removable. But
if you don't put the bezel on properly, like I'm doing right now, which, by the way, if you just hear that thread, if you know anything about threads and manufacturing, like everyone that I hand these Railroad Edition watches to, they're just like, oh, that's a nice thread.
I don't know anything about threads, but that's a nice one.
That's pretty much what I say, but you can just tell, like, there's a lot of thread on there. But if you don't properly put that bezel on and tighten it down like I just did, the dial is open to the elements. And obviously what I just did was take the bezel off, set the time with the little lever pulled out, put the lever back in, and then put the bezel back on. So yeah, if you don't do that properly, then this watch is not water resistant. If you have the bezel on tight and it's all properly in there, it is water resistant, but our motto is under promise and over deliver. So we want to make sure people are aware of what they're buying with these Railroad Edition watches. And what you're buying is a piece of American history and a piece of railroad history. It's not a diving watch.
Yeah, and we still pressure test every single one.
Yeah.
It doesn't leave this building unless it passes pressure check. It's just one of those things. The bezel is removable.
Yep.
So it's hard to take on liability for that. And the other aspect of this watch that's important, and one of the reasons we don't make as many just for sale like this one is the fact that you can take the bezel off.
Yeah.
When the bezel is off, you can really mess up that dial and hands.
Yep.
And we just want to make sure everybody knows what they're buying before they buy one of these watches. They're super cool. I think they're really interesting. They're the highest quality American watches that were ever produced, speaking on the Railroad watches in general.
Yep.
But it is a unique watch, and it takes a little bit of special care to not damage the hands or the dial to pull that lever out. It's not a perfect system. We're using pocket watches from 100 years ago, so we kind of have to roll with the punches and do our best.
Yep.
But the finished product is really cool.
They're awesome, and we get such great feedback on them from our Convert Your Watch customers, and that's what I was going to say. Is this is one of maybe 2 Railroad Edition watches that we have had available on the site, and we don't plan to make very many more of them. And we've gotten so many customers recently coming to us from our Convert Your Watch process, where they're bringing us a family heirloom pocket watch, that we have had less time to make our what we call like watch of the day or watches that are available on the website to purchase. So if you're on vorticwatches.com at any point and you see there's less watches available, it's because most of our focus right now is taking care of those customers who sent us a family heirloom, and we're doing a lot more of that work. So I always say, like, if you're looking at a Vortic watch and you think you might have a family heirloom, let's try that first. So at this point, we're very focused on that process. We're optimizing all the systems that we have to take care of those customers. And we've come a really long way with these cases and the pieces of engineering that we're putting your grandpa's watch inside. So if you have grandpa's watch, or you have a pocket watch you want to send us to turn into a wristwatch, vorticwatches.com/convert is where you go to find out more information about that. Basically, you just email us pictures of what you have, and we'll see if we can do it. And now we have lots of different options. I mean, not only we have the different bezels where you can switch up. If you've seen a couple of the recent watches we made, we have a steel bezel on a bronze case, or vice versa. Really cool look you can do there. We have the black DLC available for all the Vortic watches. The options are almost endless right now for that custom process. And I think that's probably why we're getting so many orders for those custom watches.
Yeah, but with that, each one of those watches is a custom build to the customer's parameters, so it takes a lot of time to communicate. Like RT mentioned, we're doing a lot of work behind the scenes to improve the logistics and make sure everybody gets responded to in a proper amount of time.
Yep.
So thank you for everybody who has a watch on order for being patient. We are working really hard to get better at that stuff, but we are making good progress. So.
And right now, speaking of under promise and over deliver, we are promising 4 to 6 months of time between when you send us a pocket watch and when you get the wristwatch back. So we are doing our best to do it faster than that. But the business of custom watches, I don't know. I mean, it'd be interesting to really sit and think about, is it harder to make one custom made to order watch or 500 brand new watches? You know, like there's so much that goes into that. We were talking about how hard it is to scale. It's also really, really hard to make one of a kind watches. So,
well, it's hard to make 300 one of a kind watches. You know, making one is not hard. Making hundreds is very difficult.
So on that, thank you for, like Tyler said, just everyone who's purchased a watch from us, whether it's a Colorado Watch Company pre-order or one of our Vortic watches. We can't do any of this without you. And thank you especially to those of you who watch all of these episodes and who tune in, you know, every month as we go through all of our updates. And a special thank you to all the people who commented on the last episode saying, those new hats are awesome. When can I get one? If you haven't noticed, Tyler's wearing our new Vortic hats. Last episode, we were wearing the Colorado Watch Company hats. It's on my list to build a process on our website for you to let you buy one of these or the Colorado hats. So by the time the next episode comes out, we will have links out to anyone who wants to purchase a hat. A lot of people pre-ordered hats on Kickstarter, so we'll get those shipped out as soon as we can. But if you're interested in hat, t-shirt, things like that, just let us know and we'll put you on the list. We'll get you that information and hopefully get you a hat or a t-shirt as soon as we possibly can. And we appreciate you wanting to support our company and wear our brands. It's an honor, honestly. And it's been kind of fun to design some hats too.
Yeah, they came out really good.
They're
I want to know how they do the rubber.
He said it's PVC, which is
PVC.
Fascinating. Well, one of the guys said it was silicon and one of the guys said it's PVC. The owner of the company said PVC. Not really sure. It's awesome. The white.
Drama.
I know, right? The white of like the background of the logo on both the Vortic hat and the Colorado hat is like just a pure white. So that's why we wanted to go with that. And it's
super clean.
And we use Richardson hats, which we've been told by pretty much every hat guy that they're the best out there.
They're the best. I don't wear anything else.
That's
this one style of trucker hat is my entire hat collection.
And I asked a bunch of people that wear hats all the time because I'm not a hat guy, and everyone said exactly what you just said. It doesn't matter where it's made. It doesn't matter how much it costs. Get Richardson. They're the best. So shout out to Richardson hats. Thank you again for tuning in. That's everything we have for you for this episode of Custer and Wolfe, Building a Watch Company. We appreciate you tuning in. For more information on Colorado Watch Company or to get an update on your pre-order from Kickstarter, email us at info@coloradowatchcompany.com. If you want to sign up to order one, just go to coloradowatchcompany.com and you can sign up right there. And for Vortic, everything we talked about, Railroad Edition, our Convert Your Watch process, anything Vortic Watch Company, it's vorticwatches.com. Feel free to obviously comment on this video, shoot us an email anytime if we can help you out, and make sure to subscribe here on YouTube so you get alerted the next time we have an episode for you. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.